Greetings and salutations. I am coming to you today from the cab of my truck in Fountain, Colorado while I wait to get loaded, and thought this is a perfect time to talk to you about Chapter 2 in Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. This week we are going to talk about recovering a sense of identity. Who are we? Who are we as artists? Who are we as humans? And a question that's been on my heart a lot for the last year is, who am I if I'm not a mother? I had a hysterectomy a little more than a year ago, and that has raised some questions for me. And what's dropping in lately is, if I'm not a mother, I guess I really need to be an artist. I need to have somewhere to put my creative energy into. So this is a perfect chapter for me. I've really enjoyed reading this chapter on identity. In it, Julia talks about the crazy makers in our life. The crazy makers are the people that we're probably closest to, our spouse or significant other, our parents, children, close friends, co-workers even, a boss. The crazy makers are people that we allow ourselves to get caught up in their drama, and we conveniently use that as a distraction and an excuse for not honoring our creative callings. And while I was reading the section on crazy makers, and Julia was giving examples of crazy makers will do this and crazy makers will do that, and it's perfect divine timing, just as about you're on deadline, then they need your help and you've got to drop what you're doing, and it derails us and it sabotages us. And the whole time I'm reading it, I'm like, this is crap, like victim. Like, I am not buying this. But then Julia goes on to talk about how really we need to be aware of our crazy makers, who they are, what they do, and then we need to take ownership and responsibility to create healthy boundaries, to learn how to set limits, to say no. We need to make ourselves a priority. And so that's all covered in Chapter 2 on identity. And so I love it because I have crazy makers in my life. Who doesn't? As I was reading the chapter, I realized that, and this is interesting in regards to identity, who I used to be is I used to blame everybody else for my perceived failures. It was much easier to blame someone else for how they did or did not show up in my life, or something they did or did not do that I thought they should do, instead of taking responsibility for the role that I played, or even allowing myself to get caught up in all of that drama. And so old me used to be a blamer, but new me is taking responsibility. So as I stated when I was reading Julia's examples of the different types of behavior that crazy makers tend to exhibit, and I just got defensive, and I thought, I'm tired of being a victim. So you know what? I am not a victim. I'm not a victim anymore. And you're not a victim. And I invite us to take our power back, to take responsibility for ourselves, and especially for our creative expression, and to take responsibility for our joy and our happiness in life, for our peace and contentment within ourselves, for our financial stability, and especially our creative expression. Because if we don't give ourselves permission and we don't take responsibility, no one else is going to do it for us. So that is identity on Chapter 2. And let's check in. So how are you doing this week with the daily morning pages and the weekly solo artist dates? I'll be honest, I am struggling with the daily morning pages. However, in complete contrast with the weekly solo artist dates, I'm doing great. I'm doing those religiously, consistently, and they're filling my cup up. I'm getting exactly what I need, feeling inspired, but I'm feeling really resistant to writing the pages with any sort of consistency. So that's an area of opportunity for me. So I'm not doing this program perfectly, and I hope if you're struggling with different aspects of the Artist Way program that you're also gentle with yourself and just be aware of what's coming up for you. What are your distractions? What are you allowing yourself to block you in just doing a simple task like your morning pages? Because it's probably the same things that is blocking us to do the bigger creative work that we feel called to do. So just food for thought. Next week, we're moving on to chapter 3, and the topic is recovering a sense of power, which is fitting because I talked about let's take our power back. Let's stop being victims. So we're going to go deeper in these coming weeks and in this conversation. And thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to everybody who's been commenting, and especially to those of you who are sending me private Facebook messages and sharing your journeys with me and your successes and your excitement. Your excitement fuels my excitement, and it's all good. So keep in touch, and I will talk to you next week.